Today, I'm going to show you how to build a fully functional ATST right here in LEGO Fortnite. This thing's a beast. We can climb up hills with ease. We can also go downhill, and this thing will not tip over. Also, we've got turning in both directions, and not to mention you can take this in the Frostlands and even up hills, so different elevations are absolutely going to be possible. I'm even going to show you how to get this up in the air and fly around your world for anywhere you want to airdrop this. And even if you do get yourself into a bit of a mess, don't worry, this thing will handle it. I've got to be honest, I've poured hours and hours into getting this thing designed and built functional. So if you appreciate the video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new, subscribe, because I've got way more build tutorials coming your way. Today's build will be using the brand new first order pieces from the LEGO Pass. Be sure to have all of this unlocked. And if you do pick this up because you want to build this, consider using creator code Haskins in the item shop. So a super important thing to note is before you start today's build, I want you to find a nice open flat area in the shore biome. That is where you should start building. I recommend going over to your Star Wars island because they have a lot of really good areas like this. And although you can walk this around in every biome, I definitely recommend avoiding any heavily wooded areas, and especially be careful inside of the dry valley. Now here's where I normally give you a material list, but for one, I don't recommend building this in expert, and if you're gonna do it in survival, just turn on free crafting. Now I did build this in the Frostlands, and that's where it's gonna be this video, but remember, start your build in the shore biome. Okay, to start this build, we're gonna go on over to our build menu under toys and vehicle parts. We're gonna find this large car jack. We're gonna go ahead and place one down here, and then one right on top of it. One other important thing to note is you'll notice here that I'm using an uncommon pickaxe. If you make mistakes on this, one wrong swipe of an epic one will be catastrophic. Definitely recommend using this because let me show you why. If you hit a block like this, it's going to take you 2 shots, sometimes 3 shots to actually take out the piece. So if you hit the wrong one, you're not going to be in trouble. And next, in the same place we grabbed our car jacks, we're going to find this vehicle base 3. We're going to snap one on the middle here and just drag it over to the side. This is going to be 6 wide, so let's add a couple of more here. That'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to make this 2 more rows of these in the back. So just continue to attach these on for 2 more rows. And then let's make 1 more stack of all these bricks right on top. Next, under toys and controls, we're going to grab this free spin swivel. And the idea here is we're actually going to bring it towards the front. We're going to snap in. We're going to nudge back 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And then we're going to nudge it down 1 and place it. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Next, let's go back to vehicle base 3, and we're going to snap it into our free spin swivel. And we're going to bring this down 1 space, and we're going to bring it forward 3. And we're going to snap it in. So really, the only thing that matters is this corner is attached to one of the yellow studs you can see there. And then we're going to snap one again right over onto the side of it here. Now this is going to be, the bottom part here is actually going to be the front of the leg. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to snap some more on top. We're going to create 2 more rows of 2. So we're going to snap in here. That'll be 1. So there's 1 row here. Well, and then we'll do 1 more. And then if you made a mistake with the blocks, just come on over here like I did and just clean this thing out. Now we're going to go back into toys under vehicle parts and grab this vehicle base 4. It's a 4x4x2. We're going to snap this right into the bottom part of the leg. And we're just going to nudge it over to make sure we're aligned. Now let's repeat those same exact steps here on the opposite side. And as I said, swivels are super bugged out right now, so if you have an issue with your leg like that, just go ahead and nudge it. For whatever reason, some of them seem to be kind of sticking. Looks like they kind of need oil, to be honest with you. Now let's go ahead and grab a small balloon under the general toy section. We're just going to snap in by the actual swivel, and we're going to bring this thing down. probably like 3 or 4 nudges. What this is going to do, it's going to get us in the correct orientation that we need to begin building out our legs. We'll do the same thing over here on the other side. Now let's take a pressure plate from the toys and controls menu here at our switches. We're just going to snap this one. Doesn't really matter, just right on the bottom. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Next, what we're going to do is go into our build menu and we're going to filter to first order. Once you've got your filter on, make your way on over to walls under building parts. We're going to find this first order wall corner 2. Let's take that piece. Let's go ahead and drop down on the ground here. We're going to aim this right where that pressure plate meets the leg. And we want to rotate this to where the little, like, the kind of indented part is facing inward. And we're going to nudge this back until we're lined up with the back of the leg. And then we're going to bring this on over. Now, the correct placement for this is we don't want to be directly lined up with the outside of the leg there. We want to have it just hanging over just slightly like this. And we're going to place it down. Now you can see there we have a tiny little bit of that leg hanging off over here onto our left. And we also have a little bit hanging off to the right. And like I said, this part here that's like kind of curved in is facing towards the back. And you'll also have a little bit of one like right here towards the inside. Now let's just repeat that here on the other side. All right, now again, with a uncommon pickaxe, let's go ahead and remove these pressure plates. We no longer need those up here. We'll get where we want on right and the left side. Next, we're gonna cover up the studs and add a little bit of reinforcement with this first order floor. This is the 12 by 2 by 1. We're just gonna basically stack 2 of these side by side. And then from here, we're gonna go down to the 6 by 2 by 1. We're going to place this right here. And then on the back end, we're going to go down to the 4 by 4 by 1 and snap it in here. Now, the other thing, too, you can do is you can work some magic to get these pieces on. They're actually over in the decorations here under wall decor. Don't remember exactly which one these are from. Oh, it looks like Rebel Survival. A lot of you may have missed out on these, but if you do have them, they make a very nice little kind of hinge here or a rotator on this part of the leg, so feel free to work those in if you do have that piece. And again, same thing over here on the other leg. Now that we're adding more weight to the leg, you can grab another small balloon, and you can see the one over here. I added one just slightly behind the one we just placed down to bring this leg up and give us a little bit more room to work with when we build out the next parts. Now we're going to go down in the half wall section here and find the first order half wall tapered. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to put this right underneath here with the angle moving towards the back. And you just want to make sure that you're also lined up with the outside of the actual leg we just put down. And then over here, we're just going to snap another one in and just rotate so it's the exact same orientation. We're going to do the same thing over here on this leg as well. And let's move to the next step. Speaking of next steps, if you're enjoying this content, I plan on putting out a lot more Star Wars build tutorials like this. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, comment down below, what would you like to see me build next? Next, we're going to go back to the vehicle base 3, and we're going to place these right underneath those pieces we just placed down. So the correct placement for this is we're not going to be lined up with the back. We're actually going to nudge it forward one. We're going to snap another one here on the other side and do the same thing on the other leg. Next, we're going to add 2 more extending directly off the blocks that we just placed down. And then we're going to place another set directly underneath those. The thing, too, is just make sure that they're lined up like you're seeing on screen here. Next, we're going to get the legs raised up in the air here. You can see I put the regular balloons on the back side of the leg. So all you need to do is take 4 of these. We're just going to put them in the corners here on the back. So put one there. And grab one right over here. And then we'll do 2 more here. Now the whole point in doing this is to create some space to where we can actually snap in some of the small thrusters here. We're going to put one on each one of those little platforms that we built, and we're going to also put some here in the back. Now what these are going to be for is it's going to help us turn this ATST. Without those, you can really only walk in like a straight line. So that's what those are for. Now, if one of your legs is not allowing you to place a thruster on this bottom part, all you need to do is just add an additional balloon on here to make it raise up until you have the room. And we're just going to do the same thing over here. Again, just placing 2 small thrusters all the way towards the front and all the way towards the back. Remember to hold snap mode though, because if you just try to like put that on there, it will not accept them. And next, the idea for these is we want to tune them to match like the opposite corner. So for example, up front here, we're going to go ahead and turn this one on channel 1, that one as well. And then in this back corner, we're going to go ahead and change this to channel 1. And that's going to really help move that body around. And then for me, I personally like to use channel 4 on these. This is all preference. So we're going to do channel 4 on these, and then we'll do channel 4 on this opposing corner. Now, once you've got those placed, you can go ahead and remove these balloons. We're not going to need these anymore. Now that the legs are returning back to the ground, we're going to find this section here. We're going to grab the free spin swivel. We're going to aim at the bottom set of bricks, and we're going to snap that in. We're going to bring it forward till we meet the front edge of this part. We're going to make our way on the other side here. We're going to snap this in and bring it forward, just like that. Now, occasionally, if you just saw there, this kind of like, well, there it is. These things bug out a little bit. I don't know really what's going on with them. So what you want to do though is make sure that before you place or move on to the next part, I should say, make sure that these things are not bugged out like that. We want to make sure that it's good and flat, just like this. Next, under the car parts, we're going to grab the vehicle base 4. And we're going to snap directly on top of the swivel. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And then once you've got those in, we can move over to the vehicle base 3. And we're going to snap in one of these. Now we're going to nudge it down though, because we're going to place 2 stacked directly on top of one another, just like this. Same thing over here on the other side. Should probably do the top one first, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. And then we're going to go back to the vehicle base 4. And we're going to put this on. Again, we're just going to make sure that it's lined up. Everything needs to be flush across, and then come over here to the other side and do the same thing. Now, if they're buried in the ground like that, you should be totally fine. Just push the leg. That'll get that right out of there. Don't push it too hard, though, because this might happen. We want these back into this position before moving to the next step. Next up, we're going to grab some pressure plates, and we're going to place them on the inside of these feet here. And we want to be as close to the actual swivel as possible. We're going to drop another one right there. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the first order set. We're going to go on over to the roof section under building parts. And we're going to be using a combination of the first order trim corner 4 and the other one. I don't know what number it is, but so we're going to come over here onto this right foot, and we're going to pretty much put this lined up with the bottom of these blocks, and we want it to just be hanging off by 2 nudges like that. We're going to come over here on the other side, and we're going to grab the opposing angled piece. We're going to add that in the same position that we just put. Again, it's going to be lined up at the bottom and 2 nudges hanging off from this block here. And next, we're just going to swap out. So we're going to use this piece for the inside of the foot, which is the trim 4. Now, for this one, you can see it's kind of the wrong profile here. So that's why we have these pressure plates. We're going to rotate. We're just going to basically aim exactly where the pressure plate meets the foot. We're going to bring this down in the same position. The way you could see these front 2, I guess call them toes, are lined up directly with one another. And they're also lined up with the bottom of that foot. And we're just going to do the same thing this time using the other piece. But the same exact thing, just line it up, bring it forward, and bring it down, just like that. Now just come on in here and let's remove the pressure plate. We no longer need these. Now we're going to create some stoppers to avoid these from folding completely under, because that becomes very problematic for a build like this. We're going to do that. We're going to put a balloon here on this foot and another one on this foot. And we can place one right here on these bottom blocks here. That's going to give us some clearance so we can add these pieces. We're going to go to the first order floor 2. That's the 4x2x1. We're going to place this right under here, and we're going to actually have it hanging off one stud. And then we're going to place one more on top of it. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Now let's just go ahead and remove these balloons. We're going to start with the ones on the bottom here. We're going to remove the feet. And just a quick tip for everybody, if you ever end up with any issues where you have your joints kind of locked up like this or anything, all you need to do is just take balloons. You can easily manipulate them by placing down balloons and repositioning them into the correct place. And next we're going to go to the first order Star Killer Railing 1. We're going to place this right up at the top here, right in the middle. Now you don't want to make contact with the floor piece down here, and you also want to keep that away from the swivel. We're just going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Then just go ahead and remove these balloons. We're no longer going to need those. And on the side of the feet here, we're just going to go ahead and grab a 4x2x1 first order thin floor, and then the 4x4x1. We're going to place that there. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Next, we're going to grab small thrusters here, and we're going to put this right as far forward on that brick right there that we can, and we're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Then we're going to put one right here in between this little gap where we just put those stoppers. We're going to do the same thing over here. Just make sure that these are all evenly spread. So we'll put another one right there in the middle, and then we're going to place two of them here on the back foot, or I'm sorry, the back of the leg here. We're going to want to go as far down as we can. We're going to put one more above it. These are actually going to pull the legs back when they're moving. We'll put one more set of these right here. All right, so now it's time to tune these legs. What we're going to do is we're going to come here on the back of the foot. We're going to go and turn this to channel 2 and turn off channel 3. Everything on the foot and this section here can remain on channel 3. Just check and make sure that you have them set like that, just to be safe. Now for this side, this will stay on channel 3 as it already is, but we're going to go ahead and swap these out from channel 3 to channel 2. And then just don't forget these are also going to go to channel 2. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these balloons. Now be careful, don't hit those thrusters that we put down earlier in the video. And we're going to get these placed correctly here. We're just going to start with the regular small balloon again, and we're just going to put it right on top of that little yellow piece right in the center there. Then in the front on top of this platform here, we're going to grab this vehicle base 4. And we're going to place 3 of these stacked flush with the front end, just like that. And then from here, we're going to do another row of them right here. And then on the top here, we're going to do 2 of these like that. Next, in the wall section, we have this first order wall tapered 4-A. It's a 6x8x12. And the correct placement for this is we're actually going to make sure that this angled part is facing forward. We're center on those blocks, and once we actually meet the front section of the blocks, we're going to nudge it forward 2 more spaces and place it down. But before moving forward, just make sure that the underside is looking just like this and you're center on the block. Next, we're going to grab a thin floor piece. I'm using the 16x2x1. It doesn't really matter as long as we have enough room off to the left here. We want to hang that off the side. We're going to use this to directionally build the next wall. And from here, we're going to go into our toy section, grabbing this pressure plate. We're going to put it right on the underneath side. We just need to make sure we leave enough space between that wall and the pressure plate. That should be plenty. Let's place that down. And then next, what we're going to do is go back to filter on first order and go to our walls. And down here, we're going to find the Star Killer Wall Tapered 1, I believe. It's a 2x2x12. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to come around to the side here. We're going to aim it at where the pressure plate meets the thin floor. And we want to rotate it to where that angle is facing forward. And we want this to be directly lined up under that thin floor. And we're going to move this on over until we make contact with that other wall that we just placed down. And the goal here is to have it looking just like this, and also making sure that you're making contact with the thin floor above it. And then once we have that one in, we're going to take the same wall, snap it in. We're just going to bring this one over to the other side here and snap in. And once you have both looking good like that, just go ahead and get rid of this thin floor piece and the pressure plate. So normally, before there's been some changes, you could actually take this wall. We need the first order wall 6, and we're going to place this here, but you'll notice it's in the upside down orientation because we ended up having to flip these corners. So rather than doing that though, in order to make this work, we're actually just going to place this wall on top of those blocks that are below it. And we're going to bring this on over and attach it right there. Again, this is the first order wall 6. We'll do the same thing on the other side here. Now we're going to cover up these yellow pieces a bit by using a pressure plate. We're going to snap into this one here. We're going to bring it down one nudge. Then we're going to place it down. Then from here, these two floor pieces are actually part of the first order as well. We've got the black version of the 4x4x1. And what we're going to do is we're going to aim this right at where the pressure plate meets those bricks. And we're going to bring it back and snap that in. Then from here, we can go ahead and remove our pressure plate. We're going to take the same exact piece and snap one in on the right side of it. And then we're going to find the 8x2x1 thin floor. And we're going to snap this one out right down below underneath it. And just repeat those same steps here on the other side. Now let's do the same exact thing here with our pressure plate. We're going to aim this at this block right here, and we're going to bring it down one. And we're going to take our 4x4x1s. We're going to aim it right into the corner here, and we're going to bring this one all the way up until we can't any longer. So right there, we're going to then remove our pressure plate. And then we're going to go on over to the floor pieces here in the first order kit. And we're going to grab the 4x2x1 and snap this right underneath. Next, to shape out this cabin, we're going to start by taking an 8x2x1 thin floor piece. And we want to aim at this wall here. You see how you can still see the bottom of this piece? You don't want it to be flipped, so avoid this front angled piece. So once you've got this here, let's bring it forward towards the front and place it down. And then we're going to go into toys and grab a small thruster. And you're just going to line this up pretty much flush with the bottom of that wall and right up against this section here where the wall meets this thin floor we just put down. And then lastly, what we're going to do is take this pressure plate and we're going to aim it at our thruster here and make contact with the wall. And we're going to bring this over in just above that thin floor there. You want to make sure the bottom of that pressure plate is lined up where that thin floor meets the wall. Then I got rid of the thruster. We no longer need that. And I'm going to take the same 8x2x1 here, and we're going to flip this and nudge it back till we're lined up flush with the front. Now, once you've got it looking like that, what we can do next is we can actually remove this thin floor piece that we have there. We're going to place another 8x2x1 right behind it like this, and then another one right behind that one. Once you've got those in, let's go ahead and remove this first piece we put in, and we can also now remove our pressure plate. Now let's repeat the exact same thing here on the other side. Now in the first order kit, we're going to go over to roof pieces, and we're going to use the Star Killer Trim Curved 4. This is going to go on the left side. So if you're looking from the front, we're on the left here. We're going to go right underneath these thin floor pieces here, and you want to have it lined up directly underneath and flush with the front of it. So we're going to put one right like that, and then we're going to put one here on the inside. And then off to the right, we're actually going to use the opposite angled one, which is the Trimmed Curved 4A that you're seeing right here on screen. We're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to go right underneath. We're going to flip it to where we have that point facing forward. We're going to go right underneath this thin floor here and lined up with the front. And then we're going to snap one right in behind it. So for these front turrets, there's a number of ways you can go about doing this. Quite honestly, the best way, in my opinion, and this is something I saw in Bakinico's original build, so shout out to Bakinico, absolute masterful builder, is the haunted house rails. So you go over here to the fence pieces. We've got these little haunted house fence pieces here. I like to rotate them sideways like this and put two side by side. Now, if you do not have these, there are a number of things you can do, from basically taking some of the thin floor pieces and building out. You could kind of see there's that little gray block underneath. You could take some smaller thin floor pieces from the first order set, such as the 4x2x1s. You could stack two of these on top of those floors, and then you can go shop through some of your railing pieces and find a couple of things that mimic maybe some turrets on the front. If you have some of the older Star Wars builds, you can also look into there. But personally, I think these do look the absolute best, so that's what we're going to use for this build. Next, we're going to grab the 4x2x1 first order floor 2. We're going to attach it right here into this corner. Let's do the same thing over here on the other side. So next we're going to be using some 8x8x1 floor pieces to detail out the sides here. Now inside of the first order pass, we have two options available that are the first order floor 4 you're seeing here, and then we also have a Star Killer floor 4. However, I do want to mention, although we'll be using this piece, the first order floor 4, there is also a piece available if you do have the Halloween Town Hall that I think looks great, and that's what I'm going to put on first. So that is actually in the same section here with floors, which is the 8x8x1 Pale Nightmare floor 5. And the way we're going to put these in are, we're going to aim at these floors that are already flipped. You'll notice if you aim at the wall, it's going to be at the wrong orientation. So we're going to aim at these pieces here, we're going to bring it up, and we're going to bring it all the way back till we meet the corner, and we're going to place one down. And I'm going to take that same floor piece over here on the other side and put it in the same corner here. Now that we have those in, I'm actually going to go back to the first order floor, and we're going to use the more flat one with 0 studs on it, which is the first order floor 4, and we're going to place this here. We're going to place another one right above it. Now we're going to go back to the roof pieces for first order, and we're going to use the Killer Trim curved 4 here on the left side, and we're going to want to rotate this and bring this up and line it up with the top of that 8x8x1 we just put down, and we're going to place this one here. And we're going to come on over to the other side, and we're going to place down the other opposing angle here on the right side. We're going to place this right here. Next, under decorations and outdoor, we have these first order turrets. Now we're going to place it to obviously where the turret is facing forward. And a good rule of thumb here is to just kind of get these lined up to where you can no longer pretty much go into that piece that's angled there and just bring it forward. And this is a pretty good height here. Again, it's going to be personal preference. And then we're going to come over to the other side here and try to mirror that exact position with the opposite turret here. So we're going to grab the other one. Just make sure that this is rotated and flipped the right way. We're going to bring it on over. We're going to bring it up and back till we think we're pretty much lined up with the one across from it. So just do your best to get those lined up. Good way is to just kind of come from the front here. It looks like we nailed it. Maybe it's a little bit lower, but do your best to get both of those lined up in the correct positions. Now what you can do is you can take these 16x2x1 thin floors and you can stack 2 of these on top of one another to pretty much meet the top there and make it flush. That's a nice clean way of doing this. Another way, which I think actually looks kind of interesting, is if you have the Mos Eisley kit, you can go into the fence pieces here and find this Tatooine fence 4. You can actually replace the thin floors with this, and it gives it like a battle damaged look, which is pretty cool. And then for the front here, you can do the same thing. You can use a combination of some thin floors stacked, but I'm going to go with the Tatooine fence 3. Place this right here on top. Next up, we're going to grab the 4x2x1 first order floor 2, and we're going to rest this right on top of that little ledge that's bumped out on this angled wall there. We're going to rotate this. We're going to bring it all the way out to the side like this. We're going to snap another one in and bring it on over here. And then what I'm going to be using for the actual like black windows, they look like the eyes of the ATST, are actually going to be in the haunted house kit. But if you don't have that, there isn't another option available for you, which is going to be in the first order kit, and that is going to be your 4x2x1 thin floor. However, this will take a bunch of trickery using things like thrusters and pressure plates that we've done before to get pieces flipped the other way. So I do recommend, if you don't want to kind of go through that headache, definitely go in if you have it. And we're going to grab the trim here. This is in the haunted house again, 1x4x1. And we're going to bring this right underneath these ledges that we just put on there. Get them as close to that angled wall as you can, and then we'll snap this one in to the other one and just bring this on over and place it down. Next, in decorations and electronics, we have this first order TP, and what we're going to do with these is we're actually going to aim them right at these fence pieces that we put in. So we're going to aim our cursor there, and then we're just going to bring this up all the way up to the top there. We're going to place that down. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. You want it to just be like hanging out just slightly like that. Gives a nice clean little edge to these turrets. So we'll do the same thing here. So just kind of bring it out till it's like bumped out. Bring it up. Like I said, it is a bit tricky with these. Just make sure before you place them down though that they are kind of the way you want them to be, because the problem with these ones is you cannot break them with an uncommon pickaxe, and one wrong swing with this thing, you are pretty much toast. Now in electronics, under the decorations, we have this MSE series droid. We're just going to go ahead and place 2 of these right underneath those turrets. These give a nice little detail under here. I think they look great. I just want to point out too, for these next few scenes, you're going to be seeing this driver's seat here. Don't worry about that just yet. We'll talk about the placement of the driver's seat after we get through the balloon placements. All right, so now it's time to get this thing balanced out with balloons, and I just realized I made a mistake. Let's go ahead and remove this back brick here. We don't need this any longer. This is just going to get in the way. And one last thing to do before we add our balloons is we're actually going to go over to our thin floor pieces and find this 8x2x1 first order floor 4. And we're going to bring this horizontal here to where it's basically connecting this block right underneath it to the sidewalls. And we're going to bring this as far back as we can go till we're like flush with the back of that block. And then we're going to put one more right on top of it. Now we're going to grab small balloons and we're going to place them right down on this brick right here. And we're going to go all the way to the left-hand side and as far forward as we can go before we touch the wall. Let's bring that back one. We're going to do 3 on this side, all where the balloons are pretty much touching each other. And we got to go over here to the right and do the exact same thing. Next, from the car parts under toys, we're going to grab this vehicle base 6. We're going to flip this thing to a vertical kind of profile facing towards the front. And then we're going to nudge this thing back. Now we want to be just above the balloons. So you can see it's touching the balloons now. It's not letting us place it down. We're just going to slightly move this up until it's green. And then we're going to place that down. And then we're going to take another one and flip it horizontally and snap it in right there. And then next we're going to take some more balloons and we're going to get as close to this front wall as we can. We're going to place it right on the left edge there. We're going to do 2 of those in a row, basically touching each other. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And then next we'll take some activated balloons and we're going to want to have a 1 stud gap between the last row of balloons there. We're going to place a second one here. And then we're also going to tune these. And what we're going to do is we're going to tune them both to channel 2 and 3. And then we're going to place one more set of regular balloons, 1 stud gap behind those. Here's an overhead view. And next what we're going to do is we're going to place balloons. We're going to snap right into the middle of these bricks here and one right here on the top, just like that. Next, we're going to make our way over to the first order fence section and we're going to grab this 1x8x2 railing 4. We're going to put this right on the front here. It doesn't matter if it's down a little bit lower or higher, as long as you're not below these parts or above the top of it. And then we can take the 1x2x1 and we can rotate this here on the side outward on both sides. And then up towards the back here, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to decorations and we're going to come on over to the electronic section. And all the way towards the bottom here, you're going to find this first order nav control. We're going to place one on the outside there, and we're going to come on over to the other side and place another one right here. Now for a very controversial topic, which is going to be where I'm placing this driver's seat. So what I'm using for this is going to be a vehicle base 3. We're going to snap it vertically in the center on the back here on the top row of this little platform. And then we're going to go into the controls under driver seats and we're going to grab a small driver seat and have this up against the back of this piece here. Now the reason for this is when you get in the driver's seat here, you can have a better look at what's on the ground and also what your legs are doing. When you go ahead and build that on the inside of the cabin, it's very limited in terms of visibility and it's a lot more difficult to control. Now, can it be done? Yes, absolutely, but you'll also have to reconfigure the balloons. So I challenge anybody out there to go ahead and find a way to design that in a way that works to where you can get in and out of the driver's seat, have good visibility, and also continue to have the balance we need to move around through the different biomes. Now, before we close this thing up and get this down off the stands, we're going to go ahead and check to make sure everything's firing as intended from the driver's seat. So let's take a look first at the activated balloons on top. If I hit channel 3 and turn it off, we want to make sure that those things are activating. Same thing with channel 2. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect. Now, the other thing we want to look at is the right leg when firing channel 3 should be the back thruster to move it forward. And then over here on the left foot, we should be seeing the thrusters on the front of the leg and the top of the foot to fire. So it looks like we're good here. And then the opposite should happen when we fire channel 2. Looking good. So as long as everything looks good, we can move on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to close up the roof here. We're going to use the 8x8x1 floor from first order. And then on the back here, we're actually going to use this 8x8x1, which is the Star Killer 4 floor. That's hard to say, 4 floor. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over into the walls, and we're gonna grab this first order wall L4, and we're just gonna place this right underneath here, and then we're gonna nudge it back one, and just like that, we are all closed up. Something else you can do as well, if you don't like the look of the balloons, we can go ahead and add some additional floors here to cover these up. So you can see here by adding an 8x2x1 here, and then we can also come in and add a 12 right underneath this one. This is going to cover it up, but also just know that this is going to add additional weight, and it does take a little bit away from the true aesthetic of how it looks. So just be cautious if you decide to do that. Make the adjustments necessary after you take it down and walking around. I'm sure it'll work out, but I'm just going to leave mine open. And for aesthetics, the last thing I did was I actually added on the legs here. We've got a 12x2x1, a 6x2x1, and then the 4x4. And I did the same thing over here on the other legs. I just ran those up the center. It just gave it a little bit more dimension. Feel free to do that if you'd like. The remainder of this video is absolutely more important than the build steps themselves, so be sure to watch through the end. I'm going to talk through how to handle increased elevation, how to transfer this thing between different biomes, and how to properly operate this thing, because it does not work like a flying ship where you can just throw a bunch of balloons on it and go anywhere you want. If you want the best out of this, you really need to pay attention here. So after you remove the car jacks, you're going to probably hear some weird noises like things about to break. It's not going to, don't worry. That's just something that the swivels do. I really hope that Epic removes that sound at some point, because it is pretty annoying. And as I said at the top of the video, this is currently configured for the lowest elevation, which is going to be the shore biome and the grasslands. So let's go ahead and transfer this on over there to start. To transfer your AT-ST, just simply go around and turn off all of the channels that you have here on the feet and the legs. And then from there, what I've done is I just added some thrusters underneath, also to the back and the top part there. These are the large thrusters set to channel 3. Then all you need to do is add a couple of large balloons to the top of this thing. And then once you've got that going up into the air, you can hop into the seat. And now we can use our turning channels. So that was 1 and 4. And then we can go ahead and engage channel 3 to get this thing flying. It's really fun to do this, actually. You can bring it anywhere on your map that you please. And once you get it to your desired location, just simply knock out your balloons, and it's almost like an airdrop effect, which is really cool. And then the obvious here, just go ahead and remove all the thrusters that you added. And then once those are gone, all you need to do is go back down and change the settings back to what you had them previously on your feet and legs. Now that we know how to airdrop this thing anywhere on your map, we're going to go ahead and talk about how to properly operate this thing. So first things first, channel 1 is going to turn us to the left, while channel 4 is going to turn us to the right. And we need to practice the walking motion. It does get a bit tricky, but this is how it's going to work. It's almost kind of like a rhythm. So first things first, I'm going to activate channel 3 to start. Then I'm going to turn it off and then hit channel 2, then turn off channel 2 and hit channel 3, channel 3 turn off, hit channel 2. So it's like channel 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2. Another way you can walk this thing is by just hitting one channel to start and then hitting both channels 2 and 3 at the same time to get the walking motion if you're not getting used to or don't prefer the rhythm. And occasionally you might end up in a bit of a mess like this, but it's totally fine because we've tuned this thing to be able to handle it. All you need to do here is simply hit the channel of that existing leg. It's going to get you back up on your feet and in a position to continue walking on to see another day. And occasionally you might get stuck on stuff. Don't get frustrated. Just hop out of the seat, drop down and break the stuff that's in your way. And if it's a non-breakable item like you're seeing right now, just simply jump out, push this thing into a position to where you can actually get back on track, turn, and continue moving forward. Once you get comfortable with the basics, let me show you some advanced tips for additional movement and mobility. So we're going to pair the odd number channels together. So I'm going to start by hitting channel 1 to turn to the left, and then I can toggle in and out of channel 3 to quickly pivot. And the same goes for pairing channels 2 and 4. So let's go ahead and hit channel 4 to turn to the right, and we're going to come in and out of channel 2 to quickly pivot this thing. And once you've mastered the controls, you can even combine the turning and walking at the exact same time. So the current settings that we have will actually get you up onto the higher parts of the grasslands here. And as we were talking about elevation changes, that's exactly what we're going to cover next. So let me just show you real quick though in this demonstration of how high I was able to climb from where we were just showing you the demonstration on operations. before actually even having to add any additional balloons. So here's an example of what might happen when you start to increase elevation. Now this is still configured for the shore and grasslands, and you can see we're running into a little bit of a resistance in drag on the ground. If you want to get increased elevation, you're reaching a point where you're getting resistance on the ground, all we need to do is grab these small balloons. We're going to place them up on this platform and move them as far forward as we can go. We're going to place one here, and then we're going to bring one in the same exact position over here on the opposite side. And as you can see here, those 2 additional balloons solved our problems. We're now easily walking around in some higher altitudes in the Frostlands. However, you'll see here, it only got us so far. We did get hung up on this hill here, but all I did was add 2 more balloons behind it, and that was going to be enough to get us up to some of the higher elevations in Frostlands and walk easily. Success. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already and enjoyed today's video. Also, YouTube thinks you're gonna like the other videos on screen, so be sure to check out some of my other tutorials and consider using code Haskins in the item shop to help support the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one.